Glad to be with you all this evening, and talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that's websites and how we can use them in mission and ministry. I have really spent my whole career working on the web and working in the church. My desire is to see that we have really good use of technology in the church. There's so many options, so many different things that we can do, and I'm just excited to get to be here this evening and sharing more about how we can all work together to improve our web presence as a church. Did you know that 77% of people check a website before visiting? How many of you have gone out and you're going to go to a restaurant and it's a new place you've never been? And do you go there right off, or do you look at the menu online? How many of you have gone and looked at the website of maybe a church or a school, or maybe it's a business that you're going to call, and you've gone and looked up the website? So huge numbers of people. This is a common thing. So it's really important to have a good, solid website. Another aspect, and this is specifically about churches. So 2 out of 3 people who decide not to come to a church, not to visit your church, do that based on what they see on the church website. This is a stunning statistic. And I think it's something that we really, really need to keep in mind as we build websites for our church, and each of you here is responsible for the church website or has some aspect of the church website. This is what conveys, this piece of technology is what conveys information about your church, who your church is, and helps encourage people to walk in the door, the physical door of your church. So really stunning statistic. 2 out of 3 who decide not to come do it based on the website alone. Now, you think, okay, we've got social media, we've got Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the other social channels that you might be using for your church. Are those important? Absolutely, those are important. But in my mind, I view the web and social media similar to how I think of my home and the community out there. So when I go out into the community, maybe I go to the grocery store, maybe I go to the beach, I go to these different places. There's a lot of people out in public, great place to interact with people. But when I come back home, that's my home. That's where I live, my family lives, and this is a place that I control. I own my home. So when we work out in social media, when we're using a platform like Instagram or X or YouTube, these are other people's property. You have a name, you have an address there, you have a username or an account there, but it's not yours. And as we've seen many high-profile cases in recent years, it's really easy for you to lose your presence. In my last job, I worked at the General Conference. One of my responsibilities was maintaining technology for communication, and Adventist.org, one of those, and the Adventist Church on Facebook. And at one period of time, we lost access to our account on Facebook for, I think it was about 2 weeks. And we could see it, but no one else in the public could see it. And it's a good reminder that those properties out there, those are not our own. Those are a place that are a great place to reach people. And we are, in my day job with Adventist Connect, we are reaching thousands and thousands of people as we work with churches on social media. And it's an amazing platform. But it's always important to remember that your website is one of the most important places, because that's where you have the full control. You can put up the pictures you want, you can put up the content you want, and it's great to be able to have a place where you can publish that. Social media is incredibly important, but it's not everything. It's fleeting. How many times have you been browsing through your social feed? You've seen something and you went, oh yeah, that's amazing. I want to come back to that. And you're in a conversation later and you're like, which account was that? Where did I see that video? There was that picture I have no idea where it's at. And I've done that over and over and over. Social media is a great way of communicating. It's a great way of getting a message out, but it's not a great place to go to remember things. Websites, confused on the slides. Websites are incredible because they show up in search. This is where people find out about your church, and this is where they find information about who you are, because 90% of people, 90% of online experiences start directly in search. So they may not know your domain name, they may not know the exact address, but they're going to search, they're going to look for content, for relevant content, and come there. This statistic is changing actually even as we speak because of AI search. We'll talk about that a little more later. But the way that people come, the majority of the time that they come to your site is through search. Your website is like your front doormat. It's your first impression that people get of you. It's hard to rebuild those first impressions. So it's important that your website conveys well what you want people to see about your church. This goes for any kind of ministry, school, church, whatever it is. This is where people show up at the beginning. So you want to make sure that the content that's there portrays your church well. If no one knows who you're about or what you're about, and they come to your local church website, what are they going to learn? Who are they going to see? What will they experience when they come there? Can they use it on their mobile device? I don't have the numbers right now, but I can tell you every statistic, every website statistic that I've looked at across the board, whether it's big sites, small sites, the majority of traffic is coming from mobile devices. We see them everywhere. It's really kind of a easy to understand statistic, but it's really important to remember that that's where most people are coming to when they come to visit your site. So this is your digital home. Your website is your digital home. You control the space. You can drive traffic to it from your social media accounts, but you want to make sure that as people browse the site, that they can get around easily so that they have clear navigation and that it's accessible for everyone who comes there. Adventist Church Connect and Adventist School Connect. Many of you are familiar with those names. It has been around for almost 19 years. Back in the early 2000s, the North American division recognized the value and importance of web and websites. And they said, we want to make sure that our churches are front and center when people go searching and looking for where the Adventist church is in their community. So that was the birth of Adventist Church Connect and Adventist School Connect. 18 years later, we're rebuilding that platform. And that is a platform called Frame. Frame is the next generation of what has been. And we've been working for the last 2 years to build and rebuild this platform and build a good migration path so that you can get your content over to the new site with as easy as possible. But we're just kind of setting the foundation. So what's there is now, what's now there is what we're trying to, we're working to match to what has been in the past. But we have big plans for how we're going to move forward as we continue developing the site and adding new features and new technology for you. You've probably seen the basic site. We have 2 levels of sites. You've seen the basic site. These are very basic. It is data that is usually an address, phone number, pastor's information, has a little bit of information about who Seventh-day Adventists are, and links to Bible studies and so forth. but this is information that is generated from the eAdventist platform. The second type of site is the advanced site, and that's really where you can do so much more. You can create your own pages. You can put your live stream on there. You can put pictures and help people understand and see who your church is as they interact with your website. We'll talk about that in a little more about Frame. But what's important to remember is we want to make sure that this website platform is missionally aligned to who we are as Seventh-day Adventist. So as we continue building out the platform, we're looking at ways we can continue to integrate things into that and provide more content for you to put on your website and help you promote your local church. So let's talk about audience. When you want to reach people, it's really easy to say, who do we want to reach? We want to reach the whole world. Well, absolutely we do, but we need to kind of cut that down into smaller pieces, because not every audience has the same expectations or the same needs when they look at it. So let's take two audiences here right now. Is it internal or external? Are we looking to reach our friends that are already in church and reach out to our community? Or are we looking to reach out to those who are outside of the church still, but we're looking to bring them to our church so that we can help love them and point them to Jesus? So that is one piece. You know, a lot of times I see church websites, and I've looked at hundreds, if not thousands, of church websites, and you can see there's different audiences that people are trying to reach. And I think it's important to know who you want to reach and who you're trying to get. Because if you're putting very internal things, using internal language, using internal content that people might not understand if they're coming to the site, that's fine if that is the audience that you're looking to reach. But if you're looking to reach people who don't know you, who don't know Jesus, who don't understand the Sabbath, who don't understand what a Seventh-day Adventist is, that takes a different type of content to reach out to those types of people. So we want to try and tailor our church websites to newcomers, to people who don't know about us, who don't know about the Adventist church, and what we have to offer for them. So one of those things that you need to do is to develop a content plan, or plan out your content, what you want to have on the website. There's many different things that you can put, but a website is really good to help tell the story of your church and the story of your beliefs and what you have to offer. So what do you put on there? There's a few things. Number one, your beliefs, or what your church mission is. Some churches have a big outreach to certain types of people. Some churches have, maybe they're real outdoorsy and they have a lot of camping trips and that kind of thing. That reaches a certain demographic, and it's important to share what it is that you're doing. So that's the next piece. There is the stories and the photos and the videos of what church life is like. As we talked about at the very beginning of this presentation, most people come and see your website as their first viewport into who your church is. So these stories, these pictures, these videos, this helps them see who your church is and what they can expect to see. One piece on here that I didn't get in this list that is important is a page that kind of gives them an idea of what to expect. Many people have not been inside the doors of an Adventist church, and they don't know what goes on in there. And so giving them some idea, description of what happens on a Sabbath morning, some pictures of what to expect when they walk in the door, that can help to prepare their mind so that they know going in that what they're going to see and what they're going to experience. It's really good to have the service times and the event details of your websites. I'm sorry, of your church on your website. I was actually just looking at a website yesterday, and a church website, and I was thinking, okay, they have the same name as this other one that I was looking for. So I was trying to figure out which one was which. I looked through every page on the website, and I never found the address of the church. Now, if you're standing outside the church and you want to know what's going on inside and you see the URL there, that's a good way to find out what's happening inside and what the church is about. But if you don't know where that church is and you came to that website because of the content on the site, and you go, hey, I want to go see that preacher in person. I want to go meet these people. Not having an address on your church site, that's a little bit of a glaring hole. Having good contact information and clear calls to action, CTAs, on your website. What do you want people to do? Do you want them to go watch your live stream? Do you want them to sign up for your VBS program? Do you want them to reach out to the pastor or to someone in the church? Having contact information, whether it's your phone number, whether it's your address, whether it's an email address or a contact form, having clear contact information that goes somewhere that is also checked and responded to. Sometimes contact forms are where contacts go to die. Well, not literally, but that friendship, that potential friendship goes to die in that contact form because people will reach out and then they don't hear anything back and they will move on. So make sure that your contact forms and your phone numbers are getting answered and responded to. The next thing that we want to talk about and think about is SEO, or search engine optimization. That's how do people find you on Google. Now, there's a couple different things that you want to do to help yourself get found. And those come in the areas of technology and content. Technology, and we're not going to go too deep into this, but technology are things like clean, memorable URLs. Now, if you look in the top of the URL that you're looking at right now, whether that's on YouTube or Facebook or StreamYard, you're probably going to see a bunch of numbers and letters and things that you're not going to remember. That would be a URL that's not a clean URL, or maybe a dirty URL, however you want to call it. But something memorable like myadventistchurch.com/about. That tells you what you're going to find out on that page, and it's easy to remember. So the next thing is alt text on images. Now, not everyone is able to do this, but sometimes it can be helpful to describe what is going on in the picture, because not everyone comes to your website being able to see like many people can. Sometimes they come with a screen reader. If you've ever watched somebody who was sight impaired using a phone, I've seen many people use like an iPhone to browse the web and completely use that technology, but they can't see anything on the screen. They're just running their fingers over the screen with headphones in, and it's reading back to them what is happening on the screen. So when you have a nice big welcoming picture, someone there, or maybe it's a picture from a recent outing from your church that is not described, they're just going to jump right over that. Now, many times pictures can be jumped over, but oftentimes you want to convey things in the image. So it's important to have the alt text. Having a good mobile interface is really important, and actually it's a search engine ranking factor. So if your site does not look good on a mobile phone, Google won't show it as high in the results. And then being able to measure using analytics tools to be able to see who's coming to your site and how many. Those are technology things. There's plenty of other things that we could talk about. But when it comes to content, this is really where most of us have the ability to control what goes on. Local SEO is how people find you in your local community. Incredibly important. Making sure you have clearly your address on there, making sure that you are frequently posting to the website, because Google can find the site, but they're not going to necessarily send people to the site unless they have content that is being updated. So putting new content that is what people are searching for, so keywords that people are searching for, whether it's health, maybe it's topics like the Sabbath. That is a topic we've been talking about here in my office quite a bit, because there are some really, best-selling books right now about the Sabbath. This is something that has become a mainstream conversation piece. So putting content regularly onto your site will help your site show up better in search results. Now, for 20 years, Google has been kind of the king of how people get to your site. But that has all started to change with AI tools, things like ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Claude, all of these search tools, Perplexity. They are actually where more and more and more people are getting their information from. So how do you optimize for AI? Really, how you optimize for AI is very similar to how you optimize for Google. It's by putting content on the site that's relevant, that's frequently updated, and that is really portraying who you are, so that the AI can find ways to, or find that content, and then they're able to refer people to your site, or they may take your information and share that back. So if they're sharing information like, this church meets on Saturday, and here's where they are, here's their address, that's information that is very helpful. The visitor may not come to the site, but they're going to get the information because it came from your site. The next thing that you can do to help your site is to be able to integrate it with other ministry tools. So those are things like email newsletters, like your social media channels, events that might be happening at your church, or event registration. That's a really good thing to use your website for, having a form to be able to sign up maybe for your VBS program, or maybe it's a health program that you're offering for the community. You can send them from social media over to your website where they can sign up and get that information. Another piece that people use often is the calendar. So your church calendar is really key, because it helps people know what's happening in the church, what time the events are at. Oftentimes people use a calendar like Google Calendar, or maybe an Apple Calendar, or some other thing. All of those things have the ability to share that URL and pull it in somewhere else. So in Frame, for example, on your church website, you would be able to link to your Google Calendar and pull it in. The website would automatically pull it in, so that when they browse the site and they're looking at the calendar on the page, they're able to know this is when the events are happening. So being able to stream that or integrate that in is a really helpful thing to be able to do. Also, giving. And the Adventist giving platform is a great thing. I think most of our churches in North American Division are using that. We have it very quickly integrated with Frame, but we have big plans going forward of being able to offer more things directly on the website, to be helpful for your members and for as they come to the church. So all of these pieces, all of these digital pieces pull together to be part of a big connected ecosystem. So your church website is connected to your social media, which is connected to your live stream. Maybe that's on Facebook, maybe it's on YouTube, where we are tonight on these streams. You can connect that into maybe an email newsletter that you send out to people who sign up. Maybe it's church members, maybe it's the community at large. And you can take that and use that to all of those tools to bring people back to your website as the home base of where they can find all that information. Now, I love technology. I think there's so many amazing things that can be done. But it's really important to remember that it's not technology that changes people. We're here as Seventh-day Adventist Christians we have a mission. God has given us each a mission, and that's to reach out to our community at large. So technology doesn't change people. The Holy Spirit is what changes people through personal connections. But technology can certainly help to lead the way for those changes. Now, I want to tell you a little more about Frame as we go forward here. And then if we have time, we'll dive in. We can do some live examples and take your questions as we go forward. So the basic sites are basic. We've really covered those. They're available in 4 different languages, depending on the language of the church. What we want to talk about here quickly is the advanced sites. So the new Frame platform is a whole new way of doing websites for the church. It is built on open source technology, WordPress. So they help us, and then we pull it together and help to make it so that it's easy and approachable for every church and school to use. All of this is hosted on the North American Division's data cloud. So this is infrastructure that the division has been building out for the last 10 years to be able to host our data and make it available as long as possible. So we can dive in here quickly into the power of WordPress. If we keep our slides straight here. So WordPress uses a new interface now. WordPress has been around for many, many years, but in the last, I would say, in the last 5 years, they have been completely rebuilding the way that you use it in a way that is much easier to build really beautiful and dynamic websites. They have a concept called blocks. So if you want to have an image or a block of text or a headlines or lists, all of these are different types of blocks. Other blocks could be like a calendar, or maybe it is a feed of your church directory. Now that not your internal church directory, but the directory of people, important people in the church, like the pastor or elders or that kind of thing. So these blocks can be then added to the page and placed where you want to display information, different types of information. There are styles within the theme, so you can have a theme and then you can apply different color styles to that theme. We talked about the leadership directory. This is an example of what can be done with Frame. This is a tool that we built into it. So you can add pastors, you can add your elders, you could add any of your church officers that you want to put on the website. And you could display any information that they want, like maybe they want the phone number, maybe they don't. You could leave that out. It doesn't have to be there. Nothing's required on there, except it is helpful for people to know who the pastor is and maybe a brief bio about them so that they can read more and learn more before they come to the church. We talked about this being built on WordPress. The advantage of that is that we can tap into the bigger, larger community, and we don't have to be spending extra time and money developing some of these tools. So within Frame, we are leveraging other plugins into the WordPress platform and ecosystem where you can create a podcast right there on your site. You can build forms, and we have some default forms that you can use, but you can really do anything. Gravity Forms is an incredibly powerful tool. The events calendar allows you to sync in your events from your Google Calendar, as we talked about earlier, or just add them directly on the website in a way that's easy to see. Photography is really important, and while unique photography is the best, having some pre-done stock photography is really helpful as well. So directly inside your site, you'll be able to search on some of these open libraries and download images to use in your posts. Multilingual. This is an aspect that we're continuing to build out. Out of the box, we have support for these languages. Coming soon, we'll be able to have a true multilingual experience where you can have content in both or many different languages. But right now, you can have content in any of these languages here to start with. I'm going to quickly just breeze through the themes because I want to, we're running short on time, and I want to be able to show you actually what the website tools look like. So I'm going to skip forward here. This is a demo site, aspengrovechurch.demo.adventistchurch.dev. Kind of a long name, apologize for that. But it is a demo site, and we're going to jump into this site in just a moment for you to be able to see what that is all about. So as we take this platform, this frame platform that we are building to use, we have really big plans. Now, there's lots of things that you can do with WordPress. There's lots of things you can do with websites. But what we're looking at is what key things can we tie into your church website that are uniquely Adventist and uniquely suited for mission and ministry in your community. So things like Thrive, like Adventist Giving, like eAdventist, other tools that we have in mind are things that will be coming here as we move forward with Frame. So we've talked about Frame. We've talked about the migration that's happening. We have, I think it's 3,500 sites that have to be moved over to this platform by the end of the year. So most sites in these conferences that we're working with have moved over, and I'm excited about that. But if you haven't yet, if you haven't updated your domain, and Richard and Paula, they have a list. They know which domains are not updated in the conference. This is the important information. The QR code takes you to a description of what you need to do. There are 15 churches or church websites that have not been updated, or the URLs have not been updated in a way that we can move into Frame for the Kentucky, Tennessee, and there are 54 in Georgia-Cumberland. But those will get taken care of. Things are moving forward. The next step is we are beginning this migration. So we coordinate with your conference and we say, when is a good time? This is going to be happening, and we're ready to start moving and doing this migration. The next piece is that we will actually do the migration. We move all the content, all the images across. I have 12 people right now that are working every day on doing these migrations. They're reviewing each migration as it happens to make sure that things are put in the right place. But they don't know your site like you do. And so the next step after this staging site is created is that we send an email to every site admin and also to your conference communication director that this site is ready to be reviewed. So when you get that email, you'll need to click the link. You'll create your account there on the site. You have to create a password, and then you'll be able to log in and you'll be able to see your website as it's ready to go with the new themes and everything there. The next step for you to do after you make any changes that you want to do is to click the launch button. So top of the page, up here, it says migration status. Click on that. It'll take you to this page. And if everything's good and ready to go, the launch button will be orange, like you see in this example, and you'll be ready to do the migration. Now, you're not doing this alone. we have a team of people that is waiting to answer questions that you might have. So we have a phone number, we have email support, and you can go to our website, support.adventistconnect.org. We've got a ton of articles there. We're adding more every day. And we want to make this something that is easy. So if you have questions, send us an email, reach out on the phone, and we'll do our best to answer the questions and help guide you through. So I am going to, I'll put this one last slide up here. This is our website, Adventist Connect. Have a lot of other things other than just Frame, but more information about Frame is there. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to our team from the website. I am going to pull this off the screen though, and I am going to pull up a live website here, and wanted to just show you a few things as we go through. So this is that demo site that we talked about earlier, Aspen Grove SDA Church. This is one of the themes that you're able to do or able to use. These are some examples of some blocks and ways that you can use images and text on your site. Pulling out calendar highlights on the homepage here, maybe highlighting different things like media and the messages that you have. We will jump here, back up to the top. You see a menu across the top here. There's this, it's called a hamburger menu. If you click that, you see the full menu. If you have more things that are on the site, we didn't really talk too much about this, but it's good to have a little more condensed menu than what you see in this example. I'm going to pull up this leadership page, because here we can see, and I can demo a feature now, it's called the directory. So if we look on the edit, we're going to jump back here into the edit section. And as soon as this page opens, you'll get to see the block editor. It says, welcome to the editor here. That doesn't show up every time. And when you're in the edit mode, you're able to select text. You can bold it, italicize it. You can do all sorts of things with it. We've got some images that are showing here. If we want to put up an image ourselves, we can just type image, or we can pull up here with the plus button, and we can just grab an image and put that in here. We can go to our media library, and we can take any image that is already in the media library. And if we click on this instant images, we talked earlier about the stock images that you can get. All of these are freely available for you to use on your site. And let's just pick one. This is a public library, so we don't choose what images are on there, but you're able to find some beautiful images that are useful. And we can just hit select, and that's the image now that's displaying on our site. If we want it a little smaller, we can resize that image here. By default, it comes in with this caption from Unsplash. We can just delete that if we want, and we can say, look at these mountains. As we scroll down the page, and I'm just going to close this thing here, you see the directory. Now, rather than typing directly on here, this is a block that is showing up. And if we pull up this this document overview, you're able to see the block here that is the directory listing block. Now, I am going to jump into another tab. This is logged in to the back of the website, and we can just pull up the directory here. And this is a full list of the staff for this make-believe church. So we have some categories like elders, deacons. We have some categories like pastor. And then over here, you see the actual job title, position that they have, lead pastor or pastor, and that makes it easy to be able to pull that information out and display it on your website. The other thing that most churches are going to need is a way of displaying media. So if we jump back here to our menu, I will pull up the media page, and you can see here, this is all the recent media that has been added to this page. If we click on this sermon called the 3 B's, this is a recent sermon from Pioneer Memorial Church. And down here, you have the opportunity to put in a description. You can tie this into a series if you have multiple things in there. Actually, let's just click edit for this one catalog item. I know we're getting short on time, and I don't want to take away from any questions that people might have. This is the ability to edit a catalog item. You would have your title. You can put in the description that we saw down below, or a fuller description. This is a brief description. It's just got some sample text in there. I'm just going to grab a sentence there. We'll replace that. And then down here is the media. You've got YouTube. We can do Vimeo. You can upload files, although just a caveat, much better to put it on a platform like YouTube or Vimeo because they stream so much better than if you put it directly on your church website. You would put your URL in here, and then you can link any resources like a bulletin, or maybe there's a handout that goes with it. And from there, we'll just hit update. It would be save or publish if it was a new one. We'll hit update. And if we go back to the item, right here, it says view post. And now we see we have that description there at the top of the page. So this is just a really, really quick overview of the Frame platform. This is coming to your conferences soon. So we've already queued up actually all of the websites for these, for the Georgia-Cumberland and for the Kentucky-Tennessee conferences. I don't know exactly when it's going to come, but I can tell you it is on our list, and these are ready to go. So our team is working quickly. We have, I think it's 3,500 websites that we have to get migrated over. So there's a lot of them. There are many here, and we're looking at how we can do this most effectively. And our support team is building out more content and answering questions and working to do this, get these sites ready for you and get resources available for you to be able to upgrade and build your church websites and help to share the message that your church is sent to in your community. So thank you for what each of you do to help maintain that website. And we hope that this platform is valuable and helpful for your church as you work to reach to your community. So I think we have possibly some questions, but I will turn back over to Richard here as we go forward.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that presentation, Brent. As you can tell, folks, there's a lot going on with the Frame platform from Adventist Connect. And I don't want anyone to feel like, whoa, that just went too quickly, or I'm overwhelmed, or I just don't get it. And you have a bunch of questions you want to ask right now. We're not going to have time to take those very technical questions. What I would like to say is keep in mind that website that Brent shared earlier, support.adventistconnect.org. That's going to be an important place for you to visit. You need to go there, read up on the help articles that are there. That's a wonderful resource. Also, you heard Brent mention this platform is based on WordPress. If you are unfamiliar with WordPress, go check out wordpress.org and get familiar with how WordPress thinks. That's important too, because whenever you're building a platform on another platform, it's helpful to understand some of that core technology. And there's a lot of helpful videos that explain WordPress more in general terms that you'll find there and on YouTube, among other places. But to answer one question that I know has popped up early, and that is, hey, this was a great presentation. Where can I find it later on? I want you to know that this presentation will be available. We'll make it available on the Georgia-Cumberland Conference website. And all you have to do is go to that website, gccsda.com, and then browse to the communication page. Once you get there on the communication page of gccsda.com, click on workshops. It's a navigation bar that you'll see just under the image. And one of those items is workshops. You'll see it posted there. And I don't know, give us a few days, but we'll definitely have it up there. Now, Brent, what about the slides? I know you shared a bunch of slides here. Are you making those available, or do you prefer people just go to the video and
I'll share them with you,
that?
and you're welcome to share them however.
Okay, awesome. And then if people do want to dive, I know some people are like, hey, I'm struggling trying to make that migration from old platform to new, or I'm just struggling understanding the tools and how they work. You mentioned they can reach out to you, or what's the best way of going about that, really?
So the support.adventistconnect.org website is a great place to go. Additionally, you can just send an email to support@adventistconnect.org, and we're watching that. We're responding to emails every day, and if you have questions, put them in there. Let us know where you're coming from, what church you're with, or what website you're working with. That helps us get more to the point so that we're able to help. But yeah, that's the best thing I can say. We've got the phone number as well. I don't have that one memorized, but it is on the website.
Sure.
And you're able to call our support team there as well.
Awesome. And I hope, and that should be a great starting point for a lot of folks out there. And once again, just to underscore, there's a number of sites that haven't made that transition, but emails have gone out to a lot of the pastors and even teachers, and that hopefully will help in mitigating, anyone falling off the bandwagon as we get close to that deadline. And again, the deadline is towards the end of this year, right? That's correct. We need to make that transition over. One thing I would like to point out, and this is something that we've hinted at, this isn't just for churches, we're talking for schools as well. Is there anything particular that, from a school perspective, they ought to know when it comes to this platform?
We have a specific theme that was designed by the North American Division of Education Department for schools. Now, schools can use any of the themes that are there, but there's a specific one just for schools. So that is available there for schools. We are, again, I talked more on the church side of things in the earlier presentation, but we're looking at also ways of more tightly integrating into the tools that are part of the church, or I'm sorry, of the school use in the division. And I would say from the other things that we talked about today, a lot of those things are just as relevant. You have your audiences maybe of potential students, but you also have your audience of current parents and students that you want to be able to reach. So being able to put up updated information, to be able to so that those audiences can get to find that information quickly is also really important. Great.
All right. Well, enough time spent on that. Let's go to some of the questions that have come in.
Okay.
Who in the church should have the ability to make changes to the church website?
Oh, great question. I think a lot of churches have a communication director, communication secretary that helps with that. I know a lot of pastors often have that ability or take that on themselves. I think those are really the two main key roles. But often we'll see elders, we'll see pastors. Really, it is anyone who is willing to take that up and keep that information up to date. Often it's helpful to have more than one person having access to the website, because sometimes people take vacation or they're not available. And so it's good to kind of separate that out. On the Frame platform, you'll be able to create not only like a site admin account, or permission. You can have multiple accounts at these different permission levels. But you can even be as specific as saying, this person has the right to update the blog, or to be able to create events on the calendar. Or maybe they're just the one that updates the bulletin every week and makes sure that that gets up there. So you can fine tune that down to, if you have someone who has the ability to do that, but you're not sure you want them to be able to access or change things on the whole site, you have the ability to do that. And also, if you need access to your church website, call our team or reach out by phone. We'll verify that with the conference and with the information, but we are able to get you back into your church website if perhaps the pastor left, or some of the church members that had access to it before, they're gone. We still can help you with that at any point.
Oh, that's terrific. And I really appreciate you saying that, because sometimes people can lose access to their website, and it's helpful to know that you're there to help them get back in. I do want to clarify, though, that that's for access to the website, not the domain name, if they have a custom domain name.
Yeah.
And so just a little plug here. I know it's been said in the email, but it bears repeating. If you are concerned that whoever set up that domain might not be able to maintain that domain, our conference, Georgia-Cumberland Conference IT department, will be happy to manage that for you. So we can, the IT department can purchase new domain names, they can manage those domain names, and make sure that that never gets lost.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for mentioning that, Richard. I actually just responded to an email today. Somebody, they have a domain name, they love the domain, don't want to get rid of it, and yet the person that set that up, they don't know who they are. And it's still there, but once the domain registration expires, they don't know how to change it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to another question. If we upload videos or pictures, we'll need storage. How much storage in gigabytes is included for free?
So we don't have a cap on the amount of storage for each site. That said, we would ask you to not go too crazy and put up every picture and video that you have. I mentioned this earlier in the presentation. There is a size limit to the file size limit to what gets uploaded. I don't have that off the top of my head. We tried to find a reasonable number. However, it's really best for video if you can put that on a video streaming site, something like YouTube, Vimeo, other platforms that do a really good job of streaming. And by streaming, that means they are able to provide the right size content depending on the connection size. So if I'm on my phone on a really poor connection, I can still watch the video. If I am on a great connection and I've got my big screen TV, I'm going to see a larger version of that video. So you can put stuff up. There is not a limit, and there is not a cost for doing that. But we just ask that you don't put everything up. Be respectful with what you put up and what you use.
Awesome. Okay, let's do another question.
Sure.
For a school website, how should we handle calendars to protect kids' privacy? Which events are okay to publicize, but which ones should stay private?
That's a really good question. I have not thought about that before, so I don't know that I have a ready answer on the private event versus public event. I think that would be something that would be best to talk with, like, your school superintendent in the conference. you absolutely do want to make sure that that the events that are there are things that are relevant for the public. And being able to things that happen at the school where you're expecting visitors, or even sometimes it might be things that you would put up, like test week, or back to school kind of things. Those certainly are relevant to put up there, but you do definitely want to keep in mind children's privacy in what you do, and who might show up at those events.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I think we have room for at least one more question, so let's do that.
Sure.
How can we get help rebuilding our church's website? We're a small church and don't have the expertise to do it ourselves.
That's a good question. We don't have, unfortunately, right now, we don't have a full team to be able to do that. I would suggest one place to start would be to talk with your conference. They may have some resources within the area, people that they know that could work with that. You're welcome to reach out to us. We're working on building out a list of vendors, contractors that are good with building church websites, and that understand really that are Adventists, and that are able to, they understand what our mission is, and are able to help you with that. But your church website doesn't have to be built by an Adventist, and there certainly are good contractors, people available in the community, or people you might know that you can reach out to within your own network that would be able to help you with that.
Awesome, awesome. While you were speaking, I did see another question that I wanted to touch on, and that's, what's the best way to train new volunteers on managing the website? And I'm going to kind of give a partial answer to that now. This is by no means the only training I would like to see happen on the subject, just because it's so critical and important to a lot of church and schools' presence online. And like you said over 90% of people search to find out information about a ministry organization for the first time, and then 70% do what?
70% look up a business or a location before they go.
Before they go, yes, yes.
So if you're expecting visitors, or you're hoping for visitors, they're going to come to your website.
Yes, good, good. So yeah, with that in mind, I would like to see, further trainings on this subject that can be formalized, and then we can then offer that for getting people started that are new volunteers to managing the site. Are there training tutorials currently in place on that subject for volunteers getting started, or do those need to be created?
There are a few, but those definitely, there's a lot of room for that. For growth there. So I know a lot of conferences are working on expanding that and providing webinars just like this. This is something that we're planning to do at Adventist Connect, is to be able to offer more trainings as well, that will be available not just like this live, but also available to in an archive format to be able to come back and listen to.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's great. And so as that information becomes available, and as we learn more about these resources that will be of help to our churches and schools, I encourage you, if you're in the Georgia-Cumberland Conference, to reach out to me. My email address is richardr@gccsda.com, or you can reach Paola at the Kentucky-Tennessee Conference at mpmora@kytn.net. That's pmora@kytn.net. And so, yeah, if you have further questions about this subject or other subjects, or just feel like, hey, keep me in the loop, as you get more information, I want to be informed. I want to be in the know as to how I can help my constituents and the people that are assisting me with the web platform. We want you on our mailing list so that we can keep in touch with you and that we can disseminate information as we get it. But yeah, thank you so much, Brent, for taking your time and for presenting this information. It's encouraging and exciting to see how far things have come. This has been a long run. You said it's been a couple decades almost, right?
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
making. So this is really exciting stuff, and I'm just so excited to see such beautiful technology come together and be so accessible for our churches and schools around the NAD. I mean, there's over what 6,000 churches and schools that are taking advantage of this platform. So
Yes.
it's quite phenomenal, and we're excited about that. So. With that, we're going to let everyone go. We know we're just a little over time, and want to be respectful of everyone's time as they've come on. And so, with that, I'll have a short prayer, and then we'll let people go. Father in heaven, we thank you for this time we've been able to share, and we just ask for your continued wisdom and blessing as we seek to make websites that will reach people for you. And we thank you for hearing our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Well, our next communication training will be on December 11. And so please mark your calendar, clear off some time. It's going to be at the same time, Thursday evening on December 11 at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And you won't want to miss that training. We're going to be diving into the big world of AI and what it means, how to use it responsibly and effectively to move the message of the gospel forward. So you don't want to miss that. So join us next time, December 11. All right, everyone. That's all for now. Goodbye.